There's going to be multiple moments in life where you will have to be a multifaceted human being who's not just solely focused on one thing. So the idea that just because you have a career, now you're just split and it's all going to be terrible, I think that's just a little bit, as I said, it's very negative and it's not indicative of people who live full lives. Because oftentimes we're not juggling two things, we're juggling multiple all the time, every day. Wake up, go to sleep.
Do you think women can do both to the best of their ability at the same time? Be a mother and a top performer in their career?
Depends on what they do.
I
Depends on
mean,
what they're doing.
either way is hard because at some point something suffer. It's not such a thing as an equal balance.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well, I think you can do both.
I think
I'm not saying it
because
can be done, but me personally, I have to perform at both, and something has to suffer. Like you either sacrifice time with your kids because you have to put the time to work, or you have to work, and or you sacrifice the money from work and spend time with your kids. But there's no way that you can be equally balanced at both. It's just you try to manage, but it's never perfect.
well, what I was saying was given the opportunity, people we live in a world that don't really care for kids, if I'm being honest. So like women could exist in a world where they can be a mother and work and do this at the best of their ability. But God forbid a woman be out in public and breastfeed. Jesus Christ, everybody gonna die. So, or be out in the world and the baby cries. Oh my God, the world is finna end. So, like, we could do both, but it's just not appropriate in society because society don't like kids. Just, but yeah, I just am like we could do both, and neither one of them has to fail. And we see some people who are working remote and are with their kids at home, and they do very well. So it can be done.
We go to Trigger with his follow up question, and then Casey
I mean, just
and Bray.
follow up. Uh, so I think one of the most jarring lessons I learned as a parent, let me just keep this to me, and I think I had to do this back and forth with my wife, right? Is that you can have it all, you just can't have it all at the same time. And I think that nature dictates that you cannot do both. It's not me, it's not any of us. Nature dictates that wherever put your energy is never lost, it's transferred. If I put my energy into becoming a top performer, number one director, administrator of my job, I will lose time and focus with my children. That is just the way nature works. So I think mothers struggle with that. I think Michelle Obama just had a very good podcast kind of detailing that and working through it to be realistic with people. And I think a big part of coming around to being better parents is realizing that that's okay. It's a very liberating experience to say, you know what, I'm not going after that promotion because, and it just to give y'all a personal anecdote. It's time for me to move up in my job. And senior director has been knocking at my door for probably a year and a half, and I won't accept it. Do y'all know what I did the first day? I got kind of like tapped, like, hey, you getting looked at for this? I went to my senior director's schedule and I saw all the red in that schedule. I am a director. This person probably make little more than me. I have at most 3 meetings a day that lasts 30 minutes to an hour. This person's calendar is full from 8 to 5 every day. And I said I'm not doing it because that is where my attention is going to go. And y'all know I brag a lot about being a great father. I could win Father of the Year every year. That's how good of a dad I am. But that is going to suffer if I take that senior director job. So I'm putting that away. I'm putting that aside for now, so I could be with my children a little more till they get tired of me and start having other interests.
I agree with Bo and Trigger. Like life is about choices and trade-offs, right? Um Anybody knows you can do multiple things at a certain time, but they're going to be on a priority list. Like they have to be organized on a list. I believe in women being able to work if they want to, staying at home if they want to, and if their life affords them to, right? Because every relationship, every marriage is not going to be identical. Um, and so you have to do what works for your household. You have to do what works in alignment with your spouse and with your husband and his work and what he's doing. And so for me, it's all about timing and what works in the moment, because in life it's ebbs and flows. Like Trigger just talked about, like being in a position for another position that's going to require more of him. Okay, you have to take a step back, talk to your spouse, and then look at, okay, what does our life look like right now? What does it look like? What are the requirements? How old are our children? How is this going to work? Are you going to be able to pick up slack on this end? Are you going to be able to do more on that end? If it doesn't work for the household, then it's not going to be good for the household at that moment, and it's not going to be good for the children. So that's why it's good to have a spouse in life that you know is going to be able to adjust to those ebbs and flows, because the husband may be taking a lesser role in order to be there for the kids, or you may be taking a higher role to make more money at the time, to have a different position down the line, or being one person being in school. It depends on the relationship and whatever time and how old the kids are and the requirement for that household to work properly. So I agree with Bo and Trig.
One of the things that stands out to me is the idea that it's only going to be having to balance work and child or work and family that will cause somewhat of a rift in your life where duality will come into play. There's many points in life where you'll have to make decisions. Oftentimes your immediate family, sometimes you have to bounce between your extended family. Maybe you have an aging grandmother, right? Maybe, or you have an aging parent, you have an ill parent, you got to split. Maybe you have a hobby, you have something that's, that you're highly interested in, you're going to split. Maybe you're really going through something in your marriage, and now your marriage demands a little bit more attention than it typically does. You're going to split. There's going to be multiple moments in life where you will have to be a multifaceted human being who's not just solely focused on one thing. So the idea that just because you have a career, now you're just split and it's all going to be terrible, I think that's just a little bit, as I said, it's very negative, and it's not indicative of people who live full lives. Because oftentimes we're not juggling two things, we're juggling multiple all the time, every day. Wake up, go to sleep, multiple things. Sometimes your mind literally can think about 3 different thoughts at the same time. That's how much we are like juggling unconsciously, consciously all the time. So I just think like this idea that a woman will always have to sacrifice and something's going to lose. No, not necessarily. And you know what? Even if it happens, it's not going to be forever. And it's also not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. If there's a time where you are a career woman and you're starting a business, and maybe for the first 2 years you need to buckle down and be in your business, and your spouse is going to support you during that time, that's what happens. If you're going back to school, that's what happens. When it's time for him to go back to school, you'll support him, and that's kind of how life just goes. Like I just think this sounds a little bit surface level and not really realistic to what really happens in people's lives.
We kind of going into the dynamic that, for the most part, assuming that parent has another parent to fall back on, so they can be a team. But for the vast majority, there are more single mothers out there that have to face these challenges. Because I'm not saying that there are no single fathers. I'm not saying that at all. But statistically speaking, it's more a lot of single mothers out there that they have to be the supporter, and we have to multitask and manage work and and careers and household and children and ourselves. So you might not have, like, for example, myself, I had to move from Atlanta, Georgia to Arizona because of work. I needed to provide for my kids, and I came here and I didn't have a tribe to help me with my kids. I didn't have no family, I didn't have no friend, and I have 3 kids under the age of 16. And it was extremely hard. So that I have to sacrifice time with my kids, absolutely. That at times I was pulling my hair out because I had to manage mortgage and kids, and then thinking that I almost have one kid on his way to college, how I'm going to manage that, and the demands of time for me. Like, it's not just work and career. Like, how do I take care of me so I can provide, for them? Because I cannot give a stable household and a good, home to my kids if I'm not mentally stable. And men have the ability to compartmentalize and shift from one thing at a time. Our brain is wired like a spaghetti bowl. So we thinking a million things at once. So to keep our sanity, to be able to also raise kids and fulfill the demand for work, it takes a lot, and on us.